Hi, welcome everybody, it's Mike Newton down here at Live Golf Academy. In this video here, we're going to do a little bit of testing on movable weights in a 3-wood. Okay, so I've got a Mizuno GT180 3-wood, which has a movable weight on the sole, which can move from the front of the head to the back of the head. So in theory, these weights are here designed by moving it up and down the club face in terms of backwards and forwards, should I say, will help you to launch the ball a little bit higher or a little bit lower to try and sort of change that ball flight, depending on your delivery, your speed, your spin characteristics, etc. So this video, we're going to maybe just test that, see if there is actually a difference and how big a difference is there by moving this weight in the head. So just before we jump into the video, if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. Logo's in the bottom right hand screen, click that, get subscribed, hit the bell icon, then you're notified for any future videos. As soon as they land on the channel, you'll get a notification, you'll be one of the first ones to watch it. If you're liking the content I'm producing, do fire some comments down below and let me know your thoughts, hit the like button and share the video around. Okay, so movable weight in a 3-wood or a fairway wood. We've seen this for a while now, you know, a lot of brands are doing this. But maybe, you know, some are front to back for higher launch, lower launches, which is what we've got here. Others are from heel to toe to maybe create more of a draw bias or fade biased. So it's nothing new here, obviously, but maybe what we're going to look at is how much of a difference is these weights making. Now, some of these weights are, you know, sometimes sort of between 7, 8 to sort of 14, 15 grams of weight. So it's not a huge weight, and it's such a subtle change, I would say, in terms of what it does to that CG in the head. But the brands are very clever, aren't they? You know, they use some great words so for instance, with the Mizuno here, they're using a high and a low. Okay, so move the weight back, that's high. Move the weight forward, that's low. So as a consumer there, you think, oh, I hit the ball really, really high. I put that in the front position. This ball's just going to drop right the way down. Possibly not. You know, there's obviously an element of how you deliver the club to the golf ball, what your sort of dynamic loft is, that's going to probably more of an influence to that ball flight as opposed to maybe this gram weight. But I'm going to maybe hit a batch of shots here with it in forward position, batch of shots in the back, and we'll maybe compare some numbers here and see if there's any actual difference to this ball as it comes out in terms of the launch and maybe that spin. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the weight in the furthest forward position. So in particular in this Mizuno, I've not picked this for any reason, it's just because it's got a front sliding weight here. But basically got it in the front position, which they're calling number 1. So they've got a 1 setting, a 2 setting, and a 3 setting. So that's basically front, middle, and back. Okay, but I'm going to use the 2 extremes here, the 1 and the 3. So the 1 is the front section here. So with that weight, push more forward towards the club face, generally promotes a more lower and forward CG, so slightly lower launch, slightly lower spin, maybe a little bit more penetration, a bit more ball speed, a bit more distance. Okay, so I'm going to start off with that setting first, hit some shots, and then we'll move that weight back into that number 3 section, which is the highest flighting section, basically the back of the club head. We'll get this first one hit. Okay, nice solid strike opening shot there. Quite a nice penetrating ball flight to that. Come off quite nicely. Okay, so there's a batch of shots hit, just turned a few slightly over to the left there, but all felt really decent strikes. All tend to come out a very similar sort of launch there, visually to me anyway. So let's switch over, let's move this weight back into that high section, batch of shots, and we'll see if there's any difference in those performances. Okay, so I'm just going to move this back into number 3 track here, which is set at what Mizuno is calling the highest setting. So basically it's far back in the club face, sorry, in the sole than that setting can actually go. So in theory here, that's pulling CG further away from the club face, which is going to help really that ball launch to be a little bit higher, maybe a little bit more spin, we'll see about that, and maybe a little bit more flight on here. What I didn't maybe say earlier was this 3-wood here is at standard at 14 degrees of loft, and obviously I'm hitting these off the ground here. You know, obviously you could do this off a tee also, but I'm hitting these actually off the ground for a true sort of fairway wood sort of test really. And I've got this set as a standard loft, so basically playing this at 14 degrees, because obviously with the next setting we can add a little bit of loft and dial in a little bit that way, but really just wanted to keep it the same with the loft and just change the weights obviously in this particular test. Okay, so I'll get this first one hit in the back weight setting. Okay, yeah, so that's a little bit noticeably higher, not by much, but it is a little bit higher than that that other setting. Okay, so we'll hit batch of shots here now, and then we'll see how this high setting performs. Okay, right, so some noticeably different ball flights for me there visually. Definitely seeing that height going a little bit higher there with that particular setting. So noticeably different now. I'll show you some numbers here and I'll show you some peak height differences here. There's going to be, and there's a little bit of a different shot pattern as well there also. So let's go look at that a little bit more detail between those two weight settings. Right, okay, let's have a look at some numbers here. So we've got the forward weight on the top here, so that's generally the more lower launching, bit more ball speed, lower spinning against the weight at the back. So let's look at some numbers here. So we're going to look at ball speed first. So 151.3 against 149. So a little bit more ball speed with the weight forward, even though my club head speed on average was a tiny bit less. It's about just over a mile an hour less. Yet I produce sort of nearly 2 mile an hour more ball speed. So we know strikes obviously can play a little bit of part of that, but that weight forward there seems to have got that ball coming off a little bit quicker. Okay, launching at 10 degree with the weight back 11.7 on average. So definitely see a slight change of launch angle. And I physically saw that through the air. It did come off a little bit sort of higher. And of course that's affected my peak height here. So you can see 30 yards on average with the weight forward against 35 with the weight back. So a good 5 yard difference there, which is considerably a different amount. Spin there, so 3,500, nearly just under 4,000 there. So sort of, you know, about 400 revs more spin with that weight in the back position. As I say, I haven't changed the loft at all there. It's just literally that weight positioning. And then the descent angle a little bit steeper. Look at distance, 234, 236. So hardly anything different in the actual carry distance. Run out 5 yards difference there. So it's minimal really, but obviously a very different way that ball flies in terms of launching, a little bit more spin, peaking out a little bit higher. So it's a different way of getting to that 236, 234 carry number. Now what is really interesting, we'll look at the ball flights in this way. So the white was the weight forward, the red was with the weight back. I was much more consistent and much tighter shot pattern with the weight back in the red flight. So we can see the peak of the height difference there. So there's the height of it, but look at the gathering of those shots, very sort of tight there. You see the weight forward had a few turning over left. And that sometimes you can see and is a less forgiving option when that weight is forward. So if you are missing the club face, sorry, the sweet spot a little bit more with the weight in the forward position, I think you get a lot more gearing, you get punished a little bit more. With the weight back, it's a bigger MOI, it sort of stabilises the head a little bit more, and you could much more forgiving sort of option. We look at the dispersion rings here. This is really interesting. So again, the white one was the weight forward, the red was the weight back. So you see, yes, haven't quite got my longer shots there, but my dispersion is really, really tight, and I'm repeating a similar sort of ball flight for each shot I've hit with that weight back. Okay guys, so there we go. There's a little experiment there between having that weight on a movable 3-wood there, going from a forward position to a backwards position. And definitely seeing a difference there, and probably a little bit more than what I actually thought I might see. I wasn't sure I'd see a massive change there, but that's quite a considerable difference there. You know, 6 yards difference of the peak height, launching a good couple of degrees higher, and spinning about 400 revs more. So there's a difference there. Having said that, it still seemed to hit the same sort of distance as a carry. But the big factor there, I think, is I've got a lot more control with that weight in that back section, which definitely ties into what a lot of the brands say. It's a more forgiving option having that weight back there. So I think personally, you know, I like that slightly lower spin number, that slightly lower penetrating ball flight, but I do like that comfort of having that consistency of where that ball came out with that weight in the back position. It's a tough one there. I could possibly go halfway here and have it slap bang in the middle to have a little bit of forgiveness there, but trying to get a little bit of that slightly lower launch there, that might just suit me particularly there. But again, this is the whole point of you guys going out there getting custom fitted. You know, there's some different options here. Obviously then you've got neck sleeve to fine tune, obviously launch a little bit and face angle there, but really test there was just to see how much this movable weight can actually make. And for this particular test there, yeah, it does make a sort of difference here. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you found that video interesting. If you have, find me some comments down below. Let's interact. Let's hear your thoughts about movable weight technology and drivers in fairway woods. Are you changing this around, or are you just getting a fairway wood that's just basically shaft glued in, no movable weight, and play it as it is? Have you had a custom fit and experience changing this? Have you actually seen some change of numbers, possibly like I have done there? Let me know in your comments. As I say, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button also, thumbs it up, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.